Oh, all right. This should be a quick stream. This is basically an update from the earlier stream to show that I was able to use the MCP Python server inside GitHub Copilot in addition to Claude Desktop. So let me go and focus more on the screen. Here we go. All right. I have added all the instructions to the bottom of this repo, so you can also just look at the new instructions in the repo. You can see this whole section about installing in GitHub Copilot. There's also 2 videos that you can watch that are much better produced than this one about generally how to use MCP inside Copilot. So one from Burke and one from James. All right, so let's see how we get it working in VS Code. So first, we do need VS Code insiders. All right, so make sure you're in insiders, right? So here, this is my insiders. You can tell, oh wait, am I not presenting anymore? I don't even see it anymore. Okay, it feels like it's stopped presenting. All right, okay. Why did it stop presenting? All right, here we go. Okay, all right. So this is the instructions that we're gonna go through in the repo. And here is my VS Code Insiders. So that's the first step, to be inside VS Code Insiders. And then for the next step, there's actually several different options for how to make it so that this, Insiders discovers the MCP servers. So the first way is that if you did already install in Claude Desktop, they added this option for MCP discovery enabled. So you'd go to your settings, right? So in insiders, we need to be an insider. So we'll go to our settings and then find this MCP.discovery. Where is it? Oh, maybe I added it to, I swear I added it to these settings. MCP discovery. Maybe I added it to, I don't see it in my project settings. So if it's not in, what other settings could it be in? Maybe, okay, let's look at workspace. There's no workspace settings. And what other settings do we have? We have, no, it's not settings, it's a Python file. All right, settings, user settings, workspace settings. Is there one other settings? Default settings. Okay, what's the default settings? Is it in here? MCP, yeah, it's in here. All right. To be honest, I don't really understand the difference between user settings and default settings, but it looks like this is where it set it. I set this because it actually prompted me in the UI. So I think I got to that when I clicked on here. Now you have to be in agent mode. So in Insiders, when you have the GitHub Copilot chat option, there's this drop down. Oh, I need to move my face because my face is blocking it. Okay, here we go. So here's this drop down here, and you can see Ask Editor Agent. So we need to be in agent mode. And then there was this button here that I clicked, and it prompted me to add this to it. So both of these should be true in your settings. Okay. So if you do that, it'll actually auto discover the Claude settings when you refresh the tools. But there's other options too. I ended up doing all of these. Let's see. So if you want, you can associate an MCP server with a particular repo, and you can do that by making this viscode/mcp.json, and it would look like this. And this is basically how it's going to look anywhere where we put this. So you'll have servers, which is an object, which has a bunch of servers with names, right? So the key is the name of the server, and then there's the command. Here, when we're doing this with UV, it seems like the best practice is to specify the path to UV. You could also try this with just UV, but we did have an issue with that with Claude at least. And then with the args, once again, we want to give it the path to the demo. So you would want to update that to your local path, and then run server.py, right? So basically we're calling UV, using UV to run this server. And this is how I was able to get it working on my machine. And you might find a slightly different way on your machine, depending on how your UV is set up. You can also associate an MCP server with all your repos by adding this to your VS Code user settings. So that's actually what I did. Going to insiders, right? So going to insiders, and if you look at this is my user settings. So here you can see, oh, cool, we got a little thing above this. Okay, so this is really cool. There's the server, and it says it is running right now. You can stop it. You could restart it. And that's cool. So like maybe we should change it actually. So let's go back to the MCP Python repo, right? And we could change it to do, to maybe have a new tool. I really need to come up with better ideas for tools. Sig def. What would be a good tool? No, I'm done with that. Pi. What is this? Math.com Pi. Add two numbers. We always need to tell it how to add two numbers because LLMs aren't good at that. So we'll give it there. What is that? All right, it's gonna return x plus y. Awesome. All right. So we have the add two numbers tool. So then can I stop it and then start it? And 3 tools. Ta-da! Amazing. Okay. Now we've got 3 tools. We could go harder. We could go add lists of numbers. Look at that. Oh, we got an mcp.toolit. We're gonna have such a smart Copilot now. Let's just try restart now. Okay, now we got 4 tools. Haha. We're getting so powerful here. All right. All right, so that's cool. So that's a fun way of adding it. Let's see what the other options were. You could also use, this is the command I used during the stream, and this command did actually work. During the stream, I didn't think it worked, but this is actually the command that added this to my settings. So basically, if you run this command, it will update your settings with this. So I think it's probably easiest just to put this in your settings. But this could be useful if you needed to like automate this as part of some process and put it like in a dev container.json or something like that. You might want to use the command. John says I should make it so I can send emails from chat. I don't know if I'm trying to think what I should make it so I can like tweet from chat. That's probably the thing I do more often. Don't send that many emails. But then I have to like set it up with, actually, we don't even have a Twitter API anymore, right? Maybe Blue Sky probably has an API. Yeah, I should do something useful. My colleague just made a command that basically wraps the Azure CLI, right? So like, as long as I'm logged in with my Azure CLI, like you could have one that does basically, probably like with Python, we'd probably use like subprocess.run in order to run the Azure CLI. That would be a cool one. Okay, so yeah, so now the next step is to actually use it. So we're going back to insiders here, insiders here. Okay, and so then we open up Copilot. All right, and now you can see we've already refreshed it. If we hadn't refreshed this, there's usually this refresh button. I guess whenever it thinks there's a new server. I don't see that refresh button here. So maybe the best way to refresh is to go into your JSON because it annotates it here. Is there, let's see. So what you can see here, it's funny because I've got it running from 2 places now because it's picking it up from Claude Desktop where it's still the cache tools. And then it's also has it from, from the one that I installed this way. So maybe I'll uncheck those ones and just use this one here. And then I can say like, all right, add 1, 2, 3, 5, and da-da-da-da-da. All right, it's going to run add 2 numbers. Look at this. It's so smart. Oh, I'm going to tell it to continue. And I would assume that's correct. You can see this X, Y result. Very cool. Add. I don't know why it's cracked me up so much. Okay. Look at that. Look at that. LLMs can do math. And by LLMs, we mean Python. But let's just try calling the Azure CLI just because it could be fun. Let me just first see if I'm logged into the Azure CLI so that it would be able to do something. Easy. I think that's logged in. Basically, it would be something like sub process, right? And then mcp.tool run. Oh, just generically run shell command. That's an idea. Run Azure CLI command. Okay. I wonder how it's going to decide what to pass in the command. Let's try it. Let's try it. All right, there we go. Run Azure CLI command. Going back to insiders. All right. And now we got 5 tools. We can also check here. Now we got run Azure CLI command. All right, let's say use the Azure CLI command to make a new resource group called MCP is pretty darn cool. John has a good idea. How many R's in strawberry? We should implement that next. That's definitely more useful than this one. No, actually, my colleague did something like this, and oh, interesting. Look at this. It kind of gave an alert, so it must have detected that this is doing something more sketchy, which is fair because I'm basically having it create a resource group from my chat, and you know, who knows. So it says it wants to do AZ group create name location ECS. I don't actually remember if that's the command. John would probably remember because I think you just ran this for the README that you wrote. Let's continue. So basically what happened here is that the LLM, which in this case is GPT-4o, came up with the right Azure CLI command. And it was able to do that. Oh, it almost was able to do that. Let's see what the error was that it got. Let's see. Returned non-zero excess execute. Oh, maybe the problem was that it started the command with AZ there, and whereas we assumed in our code that yeah, we put there. Okay, if command starts, there we go. Thank you. Okay, there we go. What else? Yeah, I already did that. All right. Let's go ahead and restart the server. Okay, so hopefully that's restarted. Let's try it again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm logged in. So let's see. So this time it's command. This time we should be removing the AZ in front. Oh, snap. Okay, I can see why my colleague, yeah, this was awesome. All right, now we're gonna go and find our well, actually, can you just give me a link to it? Because it's really annoying to find links. Use Azure CLI to get me a link to that resource group in the portal. I don't know if there's a command that gets you that, but we can always try. What does it want? AZ group show name query ID. Okay. Let's see. To access, you can use the following link. Is that going to work? Oh, it opened in my other browser. Let me bring it over here so we can see if it's going to work. If this works, be pretty darn cool. Oh my God, it works. Okay, that's really cool. I love it. All right, so that's really cool. That works. So yeah, you can straight up do this. Wow, that's really empowering. If you have any other like, you know, terminal commands that you use a lot, AZ complete that aren't Azure, like you can really easily wrap it. I think we should probably add this example to the repo or some other shell command because that's pretty helpful. Okay, now we're gonna do count async def. Actually, you don't even need async for these ones. So async count letters in count letter in text, and you're going to take the text string and a letter string, and boom. All right, now we're going to be able to find out how many R's in strawberry. This is the important tool. All right, 6 tools. We got count letter and text. All right, how many R's are in strawberry? Let's see if it's going to use the tool. I'm not telling it which tool to use this time. Oh, run, count letter and text. It's passing R and text. Oh, hello. All right, let's continue. Let's run it. The word strawberry contains 3 occurrences. 1, 2, 3, bam, done. Screenshot. All right. Okay, and then let's see. We got a suggestion to run the GitHub thing. Oh yeah, I should use this. And okay, mcp.tool. Let's see. Actually, yeah. So we only need to use def if we're doing something that we're running async. So we can just do def and then run GitHub CLI command string. Maybe we'll do the same thing here. I like doing it this way where because it's kind of limiting the scope of what can happen, right? So if somebody tried to get it to say like kill -9, -1 or whatever, it's always going to put that after GH. So that's at least limiting the scope of this tool to just GH. So I think this is a good approach, because the other approach is that you could just have it run any shell command, which of course gives you the heebie-jeebies, because what if we're like, remove all the files on the computer, and it's like, great, done. You're like, ah, don't do that. That's bad. Nobody ever do that. That would be really bad. Okay, run GitHub CLI command. All right, we're going to restart. And now we got 7 tools. Mwahaha. Okay. So now let's see, list the most recent issue, or summarize the most recent issue in Azure Search OpenAI Demo. That's the one that I check the most often. Oh, it didn't use, okay. So it didn't think to use the tool. Let's just double check again, run GitHub CLI command. Let's see, do we have a good description for it? Run a GitHub CLI command. I don't know if it actually gets the descriptions when it pulls them out. I would hope it would, because that's something that Python can introspect. All right, but we can try to be more specific here. Before we use the GitHub CLI to get most recent Azure Search OpenAI Demo issue. Yeah, we know it. Yeah, so it definitely helps to tell it to use the tool. This one we get a warning from as well, so that's good. And GH issue list, limit 1, blah, blah, blah. Okay, continue. All right, we got an error. What was the error? Retry the command. So let's see if that command actually does work here. Okay, so it got it wrong, -sort. All right, so it made up something that doesn't exist. I'm, kind of impressive. Maybe we should try it. I'm on GPT 4.0 right now. What if we do 3.7? Because everyone says 3.7 is like the best. So let's see. The question is, who knows the GitHub CLI more? We could give it more information about the GitHub CLI too. All right, so this time it still, oh yeah, and I didn't tell it where it was. That's true, but it still hallucinated this -short, which doesn't exist. Maybe it thinks it's there because, interesting. So it's much worse. It's much worse at the GitHub CLI than the other one, GitHub issue list -- I don't see a sort there. Interesting. All right. And yeah, it doesn't know the repo. So I can give it more information as your samples. Okay. It's probably a little tainted right now from the fact that we I've already asked it for this and it's suggested sort already, right? We might need to like, so if we got rid of sort, would this work? Let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the one that I just fixed. Good. Okay. So we'll just say there's no, it says sort command argument isn't supported. Let's see if it'll fix itself. Let me modify the command again to try again. Okay, and then it didn't modify it. Let's like just X. Can I do X and then can I kind of clear this whole thing? Would this clear everything? Show chats. New chat? Can I do like a new chat? Yeah. Okay. Let's do list. Summarize recent issue in Azure Search OpenAI demo. Is it going to use the command? Okay. It didn't use the command. We got to tell it to use the command. Maybe it's also because GitHub Copilot knows about GitHub and is kind of prioritizing it as something it knows about. So we'll say GitHub CLI tool to summarize. It's interesting how much harder this one is. Yeah, come on, use the tool. Yeah, you will help me, but then you didn't do it. Okay. New chat. Try it again. Oh, John says maybe not enough examples for GHCLI online. Maybe. Yeah, I know there's a fair number of Azure CLI examples. Now it feels like it's just a little stuck. Gosh, it's having a hard time with this one. All right, I think GitHub CLI needs a little more finessing. I don't think it's ready for production yet, this particular tool. It's not even wanting to call it. I wonder how we could make it more clear. Run a GitHub CLI command. It's useful for listing issues, PRs, etc. I want to see if it gets the description from the doc string. So let me look at the dev server. We're in the dev server, the dev inspector. And okay, so if we look at, oh yeah, we still have the, let's do the standard out version. Okay, connect tools, list tools. Now we have suite. Okay, yeah, so it does get the doc string. So if we put stuff in the doc string, that should, in theory, help. So let me restart the server and try this again. And maybe go back to GPT-4o because it didn't seem like Claude 3.7 worked better. Robbie says, doesn't GitHub already have an MCP server? Oh, maybe it does. But what does the MCP server do? Would it execute commands? Like, would it have my login in it? So the thing is, when we're doing subprocess.run, it's running. It's going to run the GHCLI using my login in the terminal, right? Oh man, it really is having a hard time. Let's make sure that we can still use Azure CLI to list my resource groups. Let's make sure it's still working with our other tools. Okay, and that works. Group list. Okay. All right, so that still works. It's just not triggering that CLI very well. So that needs more work. I'll just delete it because it's not working very well. Let's see, what else can we get rid of? Add two numbers was great, but we've got add list of numbers. We'll do this one, add list of numbers, which, can do all of our adding for us. Count letter in text, really super useful things here. All right, so now, and like this weather one doesn't work at all, so we should ditch that one. And I don't really like BMI anyway. Okay. All right. So there we go. These are our cool things. What else do I want? Okay, well, this is good. I was just going to do a quick thing. I'm actually like deploying, and I was just decided I would do this stream while I was waiting for something to deploy. But okay, so hopefully you can see that this is how you can run it in GitHub Copilot in agent mode, and it's really fun. And you can get all the instructions at the bottom of here, and you can also watch Burke's video and James' video, and I will push our new amazing tools to this repo, add amazing tools, so that you can have more ideas for what tools to run. But yeah, now you can start really easily making extensions. This is really cool because before you could make Copilot extensions, but I think you probably have to use TypeScript for them because I think extensions are written in TypeScript. So now it's like, now we can run Python to easily extend Copilot to do our bidding. Oh, John did try the inspector. Oh, okay. Yeah, so John just added dev container support to the other repo that we made in the stream, which is this one. This one's Starlet MC SSE. So John just added dev container support to it. However, the issue there is, and this is what I experienced as well, was that if you open the MCP inspector, which is on 5173, then it has an issue connecting. And I assume that's because when you're in code spaces, you don't get a proper, it's not actually like different ports aren't served on different ports. Different ports are actually served on different domains. The domain name will actually have like .5173 like in the name of it. So when I'm doing this for like Django, has rules about cross origin, then I usually, let me find my like code for this. So we probably, in order to get this working, the MCP dev inspector, we'd have to like look into its code and figure out how to make it be okay with cross origin. But let me see, code spaces, Django. There's like let me try and find my, it'd be like this one. Okay, here we go. Right. So with Django, when I can see that I'm in a code space, I add a trusted origin for the thing I want it to be okay with, right? And there's these environment variables that you can use here. But the thing is, I have no idea where we would set that in the dev inspector to make it okay. So I think you'd have to I think it would have to be a fix to the dev inspector because that's not code that's like in the repo itself. So I think you'd have to submit that as a pull request to the actual dev inspector code base, which maybe they would accept if you can figure it out. Yeah. But for now, yeah, the assumption is that we can't easily use the dev inspector. We could probably use the dev inspector to inspect the ones that are deployed because that's already going to a different URL. I would assume that would work unless it's doing something all the time that requires a different port, which it might be actually. Because yeah, the problem is it's 5173. Even 5173, that's the React front end. So 5173, the React front end is trying to access so this one is 5173. That's the React front end and is trying to access, I think, 3000, the proxy server. And it can't even access that because on code spaces, a separate port is actually a separate domain. So yeah, maybe you could like add an argument to the MCP server to add an allowed origin. Maybe that would be a generic way of fixing it. Maybe that's a pull request they would accept. Okay. Yeah. Well, that requires more research. All right. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining again for live streaming today. Remember that now we can do amazing things like count the R's and strawberries, create entire Azure resources, and add 2 numbers. Have a good weekend.